a particular state and run it through a couple of different scenarios at different interest rates. And what I said a moment ago is that higher rates are better, and you can even if you reinvest the money at a little bit less than the rate at which you borrowed, you can still make it work.
All right.
And that's called the health insurance revenue bond.
Okay, so ask him, this off the email.
Sure.
Ask him to cite one benefit resulting from free trade that translates to better conditions here at home separate from consumerism. No evidence that trade policies are to blame?
Well, I mean, if you're Boeing, you sold a hell of a lot of. If you're a Boeing worker, you work for IBEW as a union member of Boeing, you sold a hell of a lot of airliners to other countries that that have become more prosperous as a result of trade. So there are a number of American sectors that are much stronger now than they were 30 or 40 years ago.
All right, but are the jobs as high paying? I mean, we've seen a huge gap between the really high-paying jobs and the real low-paying jobs. Right. They're growing on those two sides, but the stuff in the middle, the so-called middle class, is shrinking.
Yeah,
happening here in Oregon, it's happened nationally.
We talked about this many times before on air. I'm not in any way pretending that trade is an unmitigated benefit. Unquestionably, there are losers. In particular. In fact, but most of the losers are actually not because of trade; they're because of automation. I would bet that this station probably had 2, 3, or 4 times as many on-air personalities as 20 years ago as it does now, because a lot of it is being bought from other being bought through chains or is being recorded. What
is this radio station of which he speaks, Rob?
Tell us a story. Or any other. I said we watch the iceberg shrinking under our feet. Without question, if you are in a job that can be automated, over time it will be, and that has nothing to do with trade. That has to do with technology. If you want to stop technology, that's a different matter. But with respect to trade, if you do something that foreigners want to buy, you've done fine. If you do something that only has the local market and that foreigners can sell into, you have not done fine. And as I said earlier, that is resolvable by a country who creates programs to basically compensate those harmed by trade. We have programs like that on the books. They don't work very well.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, then you think that it's pretty much okay that a lot of our tech jobs are overseas. The iPhones, iPads, etc., made in foreign countries as opposed to the United States, and being shipped back to the United States, where we pay an exorbitant fee for those. That there is no real net loss to those manufacturing jobs going to China?
Well,
or TVs. I mean, I remember a time when Magnavox used to have factories here in the U.S.
Yeah, and of course, to just pick a local example, of course, Hynix had a big chip plant here. Note that it's not an American company; it was a South Korean company that came here, had high-paying jobs for some time. Take your scenario. Okay, so the alternative is we put high tariffs on or bar imported iPhones from coming in here. And Apple moves manufacturing back here. And iPhones cost 3 times as much as they did, and they sell a third as many as they would otherwise. It's not obvious to me that that's better.
Well, what's the trade-off? Higher prices or jobs?
Yeah, but with higher prices mean lower sales and therefore mean fewer jobs also. If we're selling fewer iPhones, then there's fewer need for jobs for people to produce those iPhones.
Also off the email, the analogy is defective comparing healthcare to investing in real estate. The residential market once again is facing a crisis as a result of unsustainable artificial gains.
I use the real estate analogy just because, not because I think the investments are in any way related, but simply because mortgaging, borrowing money to leverage an asset is something very familiar to many people because about 60% of Americans own a house. I'm not saying in any other way it's comparable.
All right. Measure 97. You had an invested interest in.
I didn't. And I guess
invested interest is not the right word, but
Yeah,
you were
a
following
professional
it.
interest. Yeah, I was both on air here and in print. I was a big opponent of Measure 97. I actually haven't heard the final results. I know, of course, it went down, which looked pretty likely.
40 to 59%.
Okay,
So I mean,
I'm pretty
it was.
pleased about that.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah, that's every cloud has a silver lining, and that may be one. The issue, of course, was if you raise corporate taxes, if you create a corporate tax on revenues as opposed to profits, then you would tax even very, very low profit or no profit companies like startups, and that was emphasized in some recent ads by the No campaign. And number two, you would make it less profitable to be in Oregon, and so we'd lose a lot of that corporate investment. That was my basic pitch or basic reason I didn't like Measure 97. It also would provide a big unrestricted kitty of funds for the legislature to spend, most of which would go right back out on the door to PERS, which I'm sure you've talked about in the air a number of times. So,
did we talk about that, Rob?
Yeah.
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
We only talked about that 3 times?
Wow. You're a model of restraint.
Wow. Only 3 times? I would have figured it was at least 4 or 5.
3,000 times.
Okay, 3,000. All right. I'm glad that you clarified.
Rob was rounding.
He was rounding down
to protect your dignity.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There was another question I was going to ask. So I guess the question is, what do you believe, because you've been watching this for a long time, is going to be the next attempt by either the legislature or the unions to try and enact some sort of new tax here in Oregon?
That's a hell of a great question. Yeah, I mean, the premise of your question is exactly right. Our once and future governor, Kate Brown, has shown zero appetite to actually try to tackle PERS, nor have the Democrats in the legislature. They're perfectly willing to just let it run hog wild. And I presume it's because they believe we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. And so therefore, it's highly likely they're going to poll test some other tax increase, looking for some boogeyman who even more voters hate than out-of-state corporations. I don't know what that will be.
Smokers.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, it's going to cost $1 million to get a pack of cigarettes. There'll be only 12 guys smoking, but they're gonna fund it.
That was my point about iPhones a minute ago too, which is you raise the price. There are not a lot of people harvesting tobacco in that case. Yeah, I mean it could be sin taxes. It could be another another veiled run at billionaires who are out of state. I mean, right now in California, there was a temporary surcharge put on high-income individuals, and there's an initiative on the ballot to keep that in place. That'll probably pass. I had a piece in the Oregon Transformation a couple of months ago called Tax That Man Behind the Tree, from the old line, don't tax you, don't tax me, tax that man behind the tree. Mm-hmm. Tax increases do very well when you believe it's going to be paid by somebody else. And they'll certainly look for somebody else with horns, and a tail that they can tax. I don't know what that'll be.
All right, we gotta wrap it up. Professor Phil Romero, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us on
glad
short
to be
notice.
Here. Thanks for cheering me up.
Yeah, no problem. 655 KPNW.
Sun Automotive is proud to sponsor the Northwest edition of Lars Larson. Sun Automotive, with locations in Eugene and Springfield, reminds you: stay safe on the road, keep your car well maintained, and don't text and drive. Sun Automotive.
If you really want to protect your vehicle's floor, why would you settle for anything less than the most advanced vehicle floor protection available? I'm David McNeil, founder of WeatherTech. The main goal when we design, engineer, and manufacture our floor liners is to protect your vehicle's floor, period. We realize you've made quite an investment in your vehicle, so we do everything possible to help you protect it. We don't cut corners, and we don't compromise on quality, ever. We test our custom-fit WeatherTech floor liners to ensure they hold up against anything and everything that falls on them. Dirt, sand, snow, mud, even food and drinks. And our floor liners are made right here in America, with American raw materials and, of course, American workers. So now that you know how passionate we are about protection, just imagine the detail and energy we put into every aspect of our floor liners. Learn more today about our full line of automotive accessories at WeatherTech.com or call 1-800-CarMats. WeatherTech floor liners, complete protection, completely American made.
If you're serious about getting the right stove or fireplace for your home, place Midgley's at the top of your list. Midgley's is your exclusive Lane County dealer for some of the top brands on the market today, including Lopi, Yodel, Avalon, Valor, Town & Country, Blaze King, and Fireplace Extraordinaire. Check us out online at Midgleys.com. We're at the corner of 7th and Chambers in Eugene. Midgley's. Anywhere else and you're just playing with fire. CCB 161946.
For over 35 holidays, Sherry's has been making award-winning pies for Northwest families. Wrapped in their red and green boxes, Sherry's pies put a delicious exclamation point on your family's holiday meals. Because memorable holiday feasts get that way with freshly baked berry and pumpkin pies. They're also a great way to take folks' minds off the boss's flashing red tie at your office party. Sherry's Cafe and Pies. Order your holiday pies at sherrys.com and take Sherry's pies home for the holidays.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway in London on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Every election year, you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right, Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
To get to the truth, you need the facts, especially when you're shopping for a new car like the 2016 BMW X1. It's a fact that the X1 has 9.9 more cubic feet of rear cargo space than the Mercedes-Benz GLA 250 4MATIC and 10.4 cubic feet more than the Audi Q3 2.0 T Quattro. Hurry in and test drive the X1 today. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Based on BMW X1 xDrive 28i versus Mercedes-Benz GLA 250 4MATIC and Audi Q3 2.0 T Quattro.
Get on down to your local Kubota dealer today, where the deals have never been hotter on new Kubota tractors. You can get low payments of up to 84 months with 0% APR, incredible customer rebates, and a 6-year limited powertrain warranty on new BX, B, L, and MX tractors. There have never, ever been deals like this. Now through December 31st, 2016. Call toll-free 1-800-794-4992 for details about costs and terms. For complete warranty details, see Kubota.com or your authorized Kubota dealer. See Mid-Valley Tractor on Highway 99. Great prices, great products from people you can trust.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene Springfield.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. President Obama called him unfit to be commander-in-chief, but tomorrow he'll welcome Donald Trump to the White House.
This political stuff is nasty and it's tough.
Trump celebrated just before 3 a.m. in New York.
We will begin the urgent task of rebuilding our nation and renewing the American dream.
Reaching out to disillusioned and disappointed Democrats.
I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help.
And we'll hear from Hillary Clinton for the first time since losing in about a half an hour. Now to Wall Street.
Full of energy.
The reaction there is not the big sell-off that was expected. Fox Business Network's Nicole Pedalides live at the New York Stock Exchange.
Right now, we're seeing stocks on Wall Street to the upside. It was back and forth action, Dave. Certainly expecting to see a lot of selling on Wall Street overnight. We saw Dow futures pointing to lower, about 800 points lower. And right now, the Dow is up 33 points, really taking traders by surprise at 18,366. We're still seeing the safe haven of gold gaining, Treasury yields also rising. Those are some safe plays, but big picture, Wall Street was really taken aback by the moves that we're seeing here at the 9:30 open. We're seeing Pfizer and Caterpillar and Merck leading the way, and on the downside, Procter & Gamble, Apple, and Travelers. Dave.
Thank you, Nicole. Donald Trump won at least 274 electoral votes and leads in a few other states not called yet. But Clinton, who got big majorities in California and New York, has a slight edge in the nationwide popular vote.
The people who live in flyover country, we're kind of tired of people on the left coast and the right coast sort of telling us, you know, what we should believe in.
Senator Rand Paul, who easily won re-election in Kentucky as Republicans kept control of Congress with at least 51 Senate seats, 235 in the House. There were issues on the ballot, too. People in California, Massachusetts, and Nevada voted to legalize recreational marijuana. That issue is too close to call in Maine. Arizona rejected it. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that you're probably driving right now. Sitting comfortably behind the wheel with a tasty caffeinated beverage in your cup holder. Well, if you were driving with Uber, you could be earning money right now too. That's because Uber is the ultimate side hustle. Extra cash whenever you want. Earning you can turn on and off, just like your car. This isn't just another job, it's a totally flexible way to earn. So go ahead, get your side hustle on. Visit uber.com/drive now. That's uber.com/drive now.
Books and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." That's what Living United feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
One of the states that is not called yet is New Hampshire, where both the presidential race and a Senate contest are too close to call. The results very tight. Fox's Bill Marcus is live in Manchester.
Dave, Hillary Clinton now leads New Hampshire by 1,500 votes. Reaction is all over the board. One man telling me he now expects civil war. Another saying Trump will, quote, make things different. Governor Maggie Hassan is holding an 870-vote lead over incumbent Republican U.S. Senator Kelly Ayotte, with 98% of the vote in. Meanwhile, Republican Chris Sununu has been elected New Hampshire's 82nd governor, with 49% of the vote. His father, John Sununu, was the 75th governor, as well as chief of staff to former President George H.W. Bush. Dave?
Bill, internationally, Donald Trump's been getting congratulations from all kinds of world leaders. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he wants to restore full relations with the U.S. Germany's chancellor's offering close cooperation. The head of NATO congratulating Trump and urging the president-elect to stick with the alliance. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says Trump is a true friend of Israel and both countries will work together. There was interesting reaction in Canada.
As results from yesterday's election started rolling in, trending toward a win for Donald Trump, one website couldn't handle the number of visitors. Internet traffic to Canada's immigration website overwhelmed its servers, causing it to crash for several hours overnight. That's the site where Americans can get information on how to visit or move to our neighbor to the north. The site is back in operation this morning, allowing those interested in a vacation or emigration to get any details or paperwork they might need. Rich Dennison, Fox News.
And again, despite futures suggesting a huge sell-off on Wall Street as a reaction to the election, the Dow's up 13 points. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
Okay, so big loser last night, the media. The media got this so freaking wrong. And it was entertaining. I thought Anderson Cooper's head was going to explode. Well, but the pollsters said, guess what? The pollsters were wrong. Big time wrong.
So is our dog.
So was our dog. Epic failure on the part of most pollsters. Actually, one of the scenarios that Tommy came up with was close to what happened last night. We've got a 13-year-old that is closer on the numbers than the majority of mainstream pollsters. But the media is the one that comes out the big loser. I mean, they were so in the tank for Hillary, so utterly in the tank for Hillary. And they're the ones that I think were the huge losers last night and going into the future, because they were so into the tank for her. You know, where they would not cover anything dealing with the WikiLeaks if they could at all avoid it. You know, where they were not vetting her at all, where all of their venom was directed towards Trump. They lost big time. Their credibility and going forward, probably right up there with, I would say, televangelists at this point. I don't even think it's that high. They hugely lost. Huge. I want that on a t-shirt. Huge. Their loss was epic. And watching their heads explode last night, I spent some time listening to NPR and their coverage last night, because I really wanted to listen to radio coverage, because it's what I do. And you would have thought that somebody had gone down the hall at NPR to the break room, that all of them had as a group, hoping to get a snack out of the refrigerator, and opening it and found out that a dog had relieved themselves in the refrigerator, just judging on their voices. Trump is, he won Pennsylvania. Oh. It was hysterical. I was dying. I watched a little bit of video that was on YouTube of Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. She was in tears last night, watching the media eat the big you-know-what sandwich. In a lot of ways, was so worth it. Just to watch them have to just absolutely swallow their pride and all of the work that they had done for Hillary Clinton over the last year to get her elected. It was a beauteous thing. It was wonderful to watch that blow up in their face. If they would have been objective about the whole thing, if they had actually gone at Hillary as hard as they went at Trump, that'd be a different story. But they didn't. They had already decided well before the election who they wanted to win, and they did everything they could to try and help her win. They were the epic losers last night. Totally. They were the biggest loser, even bigger than Hillary, as far as I'm concerned. They were destroyed last night.
Say what you say about Donald Trump, but the fact that he basically did what he did, despite the video, despite really not having the GOP anywhere close to backing him, he was going at the media. I mean, you know that.
Oh yeah,
firsthand. To see what he did, it's a lesson in conviction, confidence, maybe a little bit more than confidence. What can you say? But wow, I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what actually happens over the next 4 years. The other thing I thought was really hysterical last night was that the media got on this meme of, Trump doesn't necessarily get along with Paul Ryan and the rest of the Republican establishment. Does this mean this is going to mean a civil war with the Republicans? No, you want to see a civil war? It's going to be in the Democrats. At the national level, the Democrats are going to be at each other's throats. And what you're going to see is it's going to be between the far left, your Bernie Sanders, your Elizabeth Warrens. It's going to be between that crew and what I'll refer to as the more moderate Democrats. My prediction is that the Democrats are going to swing so hard left that they won't resemble anything like what they resemble now. Because they're going to look at this and go, you know what? If we'd have put Sanders in there, he would have won. If it had been Sanders, he would have won. So what they're going to do is they're going to swing as hard left as possible.
You think Ryan stays?
Paul Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As Speaker of the House?
Because anybody that, I would think anybody that gets, I mean, if he doesn't, anybody that gets put in that position is just going to be a Trump crony. I feel like you kind of need somebody to kind of throw it back in his face.
No, I think Ryan's going to, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think there's much disagreement. I haven't heard any rumblings that Paul Ryan was, in danger. No, he's going to be there. I'm curious to see what role Newt Gingrich has in the Trump administration. I have wondered if maybe he wouldn't be like a chief of staff of some sort. I guarantee you Gingrich is going to be there somewhere, and probably in a pretty substantial position. But no, the Civil War is not the Civil War is not going to be with the Republicans. The Civil War is going to be on the Democratic side. I mean, if there's going to be any war, there may be a certain amount of war between Trump and the established Capitol Hill guys, particularly in the Senate. I can see Trump rolling a hand grenade into the Senate on a semi-regular basis. But no, the Civil War, it's going to be on the Democrat side.
All right, got a break news coming up, 7:12, KPNW.
Stuffing means different things to different people. A lot of people see stuffing as something that's crammed in a turkey, usually containing cornbread, a combination of spices, and in some cases, free agents like mushrooms and oysters. At Burrito Amigos, you won't find turkeys, but you will find tortillas stuffed with the freshest ingredients like daily made beans, fresh guacamole, and a variety of select meats. The R&D department at Burrito Amigos discovered a long time ago that real black Angus beef is better than cheap scrap cuts like most places use. That's why the carne asada and machaca burritos are just so darn good. And for the bacon burritos, our burrito friends use not one but two types of bacon. Let's pause on that. Breakfast burritos stuffed with two types of bacon. I know, you kind of want to bow in front of the Burrito Amigos bacon burrito and maybe peel it some grapes. Burrito Amigos doesn't skimp either. They really do stuff those burritos to their structural limit. It's why Burrito Amigos created the junior burrito. The regular size was just too massive for a lot of folks. Burrito Amigos with a whole different view of stuffing. Burrito Amigos in Eugene and Springfield with kiosks at your local Jerry's. Warm, tasty, and stuffed. Burrito Amigos.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's locally supported by Mitsubishi Electric, so their Mitsubishi Electric factory-trained technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Brad's Cottage Grove Chevy GMC. Low prices and award-winning service.
Mid-Lane Truck and Equipment Repair would like to remind you that weather is changing and winter is right around the corner. Getting your vehicle ready requires more than just installing snow tires. Your antifreeze protection needs to be checked, belts and hoses inspected and replaced if needed, and windshield wipers replaced for clear vision ahead. Stop by Mid-Lane Truck and Equipment Repair today to schedule an appointment, and don't let old man winter leave you out in the cold. Call 541-345-7570 or visit midlanetruckequiprepair.com.
Now, this morning's wake-up call with the latest news from the Northwest and your neighborhood on News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Well, if you were one of those folks that went to bed early last night, in other words, before the election was called, and you're just waking up this morning and rubbing your eyes, guess what? We have a new president. And guess who it is?
I look very much forward to being your president. And hopefully at the end of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or maybe even 8 years, you will say, so many of you worked so hard for us, but you will say that that was something that you we're very proud to do. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
By the way, the loser, Hillary Clinton, is set to address the public in about 15 to 20 minutes. The organizers of the Donald Trump campaign in Oregon say his victory was the result of a hard-fought battle. Tracy Hunnell says the political director from Oregon, who incidentally is from Cresswell, wasn't able to be in Oregon for the celebration.
Jacob Daniels went over to Michigan to help. It was a battleground state that really needed some help. So he went over there, and our callers have really been working hard to call Michigan and get their voters out voting for Trump.
Hunnell says she never had a doubt that Trump would win. Hundreds of University of Oregon students marched and gathered in an anti-Trump protest in response to the presidential election results last night. Ultimately, the students made their way to the EMU amphitheater and were screaming and disagreeing with Trump earning the presidency. Protesters say they're voicing their concerns about Trump's view on race while making their voices heard, although a number of students said they feel like the passion of the protest is going to fade a week after the election. And this is a valuable education for them. There are winners and there are losers. They were on the losing side. Deal with it. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has defeated oncologist Dr. Bud Pierce to complete the final 2 years of former Governor John Kitzhaber's term. Brad Ford reports.
Governor Kate Brown took over when former Governor John Kitzhaber resigned, and now she'll complete his term.
I am so honored to be serving as your governor for the next 2 years.
She says her priorities will be funding for education and gun control.
Will you join me in the fight to pass common sense gun legislation?
Brown wants the legislature to pass the Charleston loophole, limit the size of ammunition magazines, and deny access to guns for people with records of domestic violence or mental illness. Brad Ford, KPNW.
My suggestion? Head to your local gun store first thing this morning. There's going to be a line. Dennis Richardson has defeated Brad Avakian in the race for Oregon Secretary of State. Richardson says he knows it's surprising that a Republican has won a race in Oregon.
They're saying, is it possible? Can Dennis Richardson, a conservative Republican, actually become the Secretary of State? And the answer is...
Richardson says his goal is to run the office of Secretary of State in such a nonpartisan manner that it'll be impossible to tell he's a Republican. Democrat Tobias Reed defeated Republican Jeff Goodman in an under-the-radar race to replace Portland Mayor-elect Ted Wheeler as Oregon Treasurer. As of this morning, he leads Goodman by about 3 percentage points. Not much of a race for Attorney General. Ellen Rosenblum retained control of the AG office after mostly avoiding opponent Daniel Crow and refusing to debate him. Oregon voters defeated Measure 97. That was the increase in taxes on large corporations. Opponent Rebecca Tweed says voters thought it was too much of an increase.
I think when they started to realize that this would be a tax on consumers and a tax that would cost families more and low, middle income and fixed income Oregonians, and that it would be a $6 billion blank check to Salem, they said no.
Ben Unger led the campaign for the measure and says they will continue to fight the union fight.
We built the strongest and largest progressive coalition in the history of the state of Oregon, and we're going to keep fighting.
Measure 97 would have been the largest tax increase in Oregon history. All right, so that failed, but many of the money measures on the ballot didn't. Measures covering everything from guaranteed outdoor school for Oregon middle schoolers to additional funding for vets. Measure 99 is going to take 4% of lottery proceeds a year. That's $22 million, providing a dedicated funding source for a week of outdoor school, a program that up to 90% of the state's sixth graders once attended. Measure 96 is going to similarly take 1.5% of state lottery funds, about $19 million every 2 years for veterans services. Measure 95 amended the state constitution to allow public universities to invest student tuition or state appropriations in the stock market. It was a measure that was put in front of the lawmakers by the University of Oregon to put on the ballot. It had no organized opposition. It also passed. Measure 98 is going to use state funding to boost Oregon's high school graduation rate, they say. The legislature is going to have to budget an extra $800 for every Oregon high school student, or $150 million a year for programs known to improve graduation rates. The measure is supposedly not supposed to raise taxes, but it doesn't have a funding source. So critics are worrying about how they're going to pay for this if the state revenues fail to meet expectations. A pair of ballot measures that didn't involve funding for new or existing programs also were on the ballot. Measure 100 bans commerce in the parts of 12 animal species that are poached at high rates. It has exemptions for objects containing animal parts, such as certain antiques that are at least 100 years old. Certain musical instruments and products possessed by enrolled members of federally recognized tribes are also exempt. No funding is set aside to enforce the ban, which is supposedly going to be the responsibility of the Oregon State Police. Measure 94, a measure that would have amended Oregon's constitution to remove a ban on state judges serving beyond age 75, failed. All right, as far as Lane County issues, every single marijuana tax that was on the ballot in Lane County passed. Coburg also voted to prohibit marijuana facilities. It also voted down a fuel tax. Cottage Grove voted down a fuel tax. Also, Cresswell voted to prohibit marijuana operations in that city. The police services levy failed in Cresswell. Also, the Junction City marijuana facilities prohibition passed. The Lowell Charter Amendment passed. Taking a look at the Blotchley School District bond, it failed 53 to 46%. The Crow Applegate Lorraine School bond passed, as did the bond for the Monroe School District. The Lane County Fire 1 merger passed, as did the Lane Rural Fire Rescue merger. The Hesita Water Dissolution passed. The Fern Ridge Library levy failed, and the Western Lane Ambulance levy renewal passed. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden is still a senator, and the Republicans have control of the Congress and the White House, and he says he's going to continue to do what he's always done.
I will fight every single violation of the rule of law and defend the principles our country has been founded on.
Wyden says he plans to take his views and issues that Oregonians support to the nation's capital. Congressman Peter DeFazio defeated Republican challenger Art Robinson for the fourth straight time. He goes back to Congress, as does Congressman Kurt Schrader, Earl Blumenauer, Greg Walden, and Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici. Democrat Julie Fahey looks like she's prevailing against her GOP opponent in Junction City. Kathy Lamberg was running for Lane County's only open legislative seat. That's House District 14. Fahey is ahead of Lamberg by 3 percentage points, although, according to the Lamberg campaign, there is still a number of votes to be counted. The balance of power appears to remain steady in Salem after most closely contested districts did not change party hands. However, the Republicans may actually break the supermajority in the Senate. It's 7:23. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, on KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Portland Trailblazers have won 3 in a row, but almost tried to give away last night's game against the Suns. After blowing an 18-point lead, the Blazers allowed the Suns back in the game and have Damian Lillard the line to secure the 124-121 win. Dillard finishing with 38. NBA defending champs lost their first game of the season. They fell 110-106 to Atlanta at home. College football playoff ranking, Washington finally gets in. So it's Texas A&M had to lose for that to happen. We've got Bama, Clemson, Michigan, then finally Washington. Number 2 Cresswell girls soccer team perhaps looking ahead to the championship game. Got beat at home by number 3 Oregon Episcopal 3-1. Bulldogs had previously been undefeated at home, and they would have potentially have played Pleasant Hill, but they lost. Catlin Gable 3-0. If it's not one thing, it's another with the Oregon football team. Injuries have been too much, and former 5-star recruit Kenton Kamatule is done, claiming a medical hardship. The 6'7", 295-pound Kamatule can still remain on scholarship to get his degree, and it won't count against the football quota. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle on Franklin across from Market of Choice. News time 7:25.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We've had about a tenth of an inch over the last 4 or 5 hours from a weak cold front moving over the area, but this cold front will quickly dissipate as it moves into the Cascades. It'll be dissolved by high pressure. Right now I've got partly to mostly cloudy skies, temps in the upper 40s to low 50s, light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. That same cold front will dissipate quickly after lunch, giving us mostly clear skies in the afternoon and evening as the high pressure re-engages itself. That'll help shoot the highs back into the upper 50s to low 60s, about 63 here in town. Winds will shift north behind the cold front at 5 to 10 with gusts up to 15, but we should stay dry after that all the way until Friday when the next storm system rolls in with another cold front, bringing showers off and on. Then again on Sunday into Monday, these systems all seem to be about 36 hours apart. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
When you need foundation repairs, turn to the foundation experts at Ramjack West. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Serving Oregon and Washington. Choose Ramjack. CCB 146906.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, sponsored by Eugene's #1 electrical contractor, Builders Electric. Another of the enlightened perspectives shared by Andy Rooney on his list of learnings is this one. I've learned that no matter how serious your life requires you to be, everyone needs a friend to act goofy with. Oh boy, have I been fortunate to have a lot of friends that acted goofy, thus requiring me to act the same way also. And even we have no idea how all that goofiness and laughter helped our mental and physical health. So build a little goofiness into your life today. And by the way, thanks Gibby, Diener, Bobby, Doc, Diffie, Uncle George, and Dipstick, you big goofballs. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CCB number 4296.
You've heard me talk about glutamine and how important it is for your body. It repairs every cell in the human body, giving you overall optimal health. It's odorless, tasteless, and flavorless. Stop by, give it a try. You won't taste a thing. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard in Eugene.
Farmers, growers, anyone involved in the agriculture industry need to plan on coming to the 16th Annual Willamette Valley Ag Expo, November 15th through the 17th in Albany. Over 170 vendors offering the latest innovations, equipment, and cost-saving ideas for your farm, ranch, orchard, or hobby farm. This show is a must-see because it's produced by the Willamette Valley Ag Expo Board, a nonprofit with a vested interest in your success. There's daily seminars and classes including core pesticide training, forklift certification, and more. This year, the antique farm equipment display is even larger and well worth seeing. Bring your family Wednesday night for the expanded Oregon Dine-Around. Ag Expo admission is just $4 and includes a $2 discount on a chicken fried steak lunch each day. The 16th Annual Willamette Valley Ag Expo at the Lynn Fair and Expo Center on I-5 at exit 234 in Albany. Show hours are Tuesday 9 to 6, Wednesday 10 to 9, and Thursday 10 to 5. Parking is free. More information online at wvaexpo.com or call 800-208-2168.
This is your wake-up call.
It's like no cheese I've ever tasted.
News Radio 1120, KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. She's back. Lise Wheel joining us on the wake-up call this morning. Hi, Lise.
Hey, I'm glad to be with you. I'm just glad they let me out of prison out there. I was out there and covering the parole hearing of Tex Watson, the infamous killer, Manson's right-hand man.
So you actually were the only press member that got to go to the parole hearing. What? Yes. Well, first off, kudos for being the only person of the media being allowed to be there. What was that like?
It was intense. I mean, it was 9 hours of the actual hearing, and I'm so sorry I had to leave, but I had to fly out on Wednesday, and then the parole hearing was very early Tuesday, and we had to get across the coast. Very small town. You fly into Sacramento, drive a couple hours, blah, blah, blah. But it was very intense, and the victims' families there. Sharon Tate's sister was there, Deborah Tate, and a bunch of other people were there that I made sort of friendly contact with over the last couple of months, but they only know me from, my voice over a phone, and so, it's very intense, and a lot of media people for decades have been trying to get a hold of them. And so, I had to make contact with them, and I, did by phone, also saying that I'm third-generation federal prosecutor, small town girl, GI man's daughter, but they had to get to know me over the course of 9 hours.
Right.
And by the end, they were allowing me to take still pictures of them allocuting in the system. Tex, could not, by California law, not allow me not to take pictures. That was the only kind of weird things. Everyone else could say, do not let them take pictures of me. But because of him being the defendant, he lost that right for him not to let me take pictures of him.
So during that parole hearing, did he show what you would call sincere signs of
Absolutely not.
Yeah?
No.
I mean,
it was the most bizarre thing, and I'm going to get, hopefully I'll get experts that will help me understand this, because I'm not a psychiatrist. I have no mental, they didn't get me a psychiatry degree with my JD degree, but I was amazed. I mean, it's like one of the victims said to me, he's like, when does your blame the parent card run out, He's 70 years old now, and he said, my parents didn't give me love, and, but one of the commissioners says, it's like, when does a God-fearing, going to church boy, had all the right education, all the good, loving parents, move to L.A. and move into the Charles Manson family, and anything Charlie Manson said to you, you just did. And you got to realize, I was a little kid at the time, but he said, do you realize that God-fearing people that didn't have locks on their doors got locks, and it changed the nation. In some ways, it changed the country, it changed the globe. It had such an impact on me, just sitting there with my little pen and paper, because that's all I had in my little Kodak camera. It just, wow. And yet you look at this man now, 70 years old. He's well fed, obviously. He's, tall, lean, gets showered every day, has a nice cut on his hair. I mean, not cut on his hair, that sounds, nice haircut. Yeah. It's gone gray, but a nice, stylish haircut they'd give him in prison. You'd look at, if I had an older sister who was single, I'd say, hey, sis, look at that nice guy in a suit at the bar. Date him. Because he looks nice. That's what's so scary about these serial killers. You would never know. When you hear about the neighbors saying, oh, looked like a nice guy to me, absolutely.
Okay.
110%.
Changing the subject real quickly here.
Okay, sorry.
Have you taken a look at the list of potential Supreme... Are you there?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Supreme Court for Trump? I did
for Trump.
Long ago, yes.
Is there anyone that you're hearing, or anyone on that list that you say rises to the top when it comes to who he might nominate?
There were all very many, there was nothing that rose, they were all conservative Supreme Court nominees who had lengthy pedigrees. There was nothing that stood out as being wackadoodles in the sense of crazies. But you'd have to take a closer look. That was months ago when I looked at that list.
I was just wondering if there was anybody on there that within the legal profession people would say, okay, that guy is, or gal is, a total conservative legal rock star. Apparently not.
This was months ago, and I honestly, at that point, no one was taking it too seriously. That's the honest-to-goodness truth. So now, obviously, since things have changed in the last 24 hours, we all will have to take it much more seriously.
Okay. Anyway,
and that's the honest-to-goodness truth.
Well, Lise, it's nice having you back. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you
all
next
right.
week.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Lise Wheel on the Wake Up Call 735 News Radio 1120 KPNW. So, probably a long night last night watching the tube or listening to the radio. And there may have been a couple of minutes where you had your mouth full of an adult beverage, or maybe it was your popcorn, or maybe some sort of a burrito, and you saw a particular state come across for a particular candidate, and you went, sort of like that. That may have been you. You might want to get that cleaned up this morning, or maybe this week, and you might want to call Zero Res to come out and take care of that stain on your carpet. We'll call them, from this point forward, we'll call them election stains. So, they can come out, they can take care of it for you. They don't use a bunch of chemicals or weird detergents. They use empowered water, runs it through an electrolysis process. It is a matter of physics, and it changes the pH of the water, actually more towards an alkali. It lifts most stains, and when you take it away from said electrolysis, it goes back to being plain old water. You don't get the crispy, greasy, weird stuff that dries on your carpet after you carpet clean it. It's nice and dry, and it dries faster than most other carpet cleanings. So give Zero Res a call. You're going to find that they're going to work within your schedule. They're going to put corner protectors down. They're going to do everything they can, including wearing funny little booties so that they're not tracking stuff on your carpet. Give them a call. And by the way, if you have a donation for Food for Lane County, you're going to get a fourth room absolutely free. Just make sure you mention Bill London, the Wake Up Call, or KPNW, something of that nature, or that guy from KPNW, that Bob guy. Don't know what you're talking about. Call them 541-9880. That's 541-988-ZERO, or just Google Zero Res Eugene.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are a little changed this morning as Donald Trump is elected president. Jonathan Golub, chief U.S. market strategist at RBC Capital Markets, says markets are afraid of Trump's protectionist agenda, but that the president-elect has an opportunity to reassure investors going forward.
If we get that pro-growth Republican agenda coming through rather than this protectionist agenda, the market is going to rip off of the bottom.
Among the stocks moving in reaction to the election news, hospital chain HCA Holdings and health insurer United Health tumbling on concern the win for Republicans will jeopardize the Affordable Care Act. Banks are rallying, though, on speculation that Donald Trump could usher in reforms that ease regulatory burdens. But regardless of how equity prices react today, next-day moves in the S&P 500 are useless in telling what comes after. Gains or losses over the first 24 hours predict the market's direction 12 months later, less than half of the time. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Another true story from Shelton Turnbull Green Solutions Printing.
What are we going to do about customer gifts this year? And cards. Oh, man, those cards to sign and mail.
Stop worrying. I'll call Shelton Turnbull.
Oh, I forgot they do variable printing and mailing. But gifts? I don't want cheap trinkets.
They've got nice options like custom hydro flasks.
Great gift idea.
Get personalized with Shelton Turnbull. Shelton Turnbull is your experienced, quick, affordable one-stop shop for everything print, promotional products, and apparel, specializing in unique concepts to showcase your brand. Give them a call today or visit them online at stprint.com.
Get on down to your local Kubota dealer today, where the deals have never been hotter on new Kubota tractors. You can get low payments of up to 84 months with 0% APR, incredible customer rebates, and a 6-year limited powertrain warranty on new BX, B, L, and MX tractors. There have never, ever been deals like this. Now through December 31st, 2016. Call toll-free 1-800-794-4992 for details about costs and terms. For complete warranty details, see Kubota.com or your authorized Kubota dealer. See Mid-Valley Tractor on Highway 99. Great prices, great products from people you can trust.
When I listen to Audible, I'm not cooking dinner for one. I'm on horseback, galloping across the Scottish moors towards my one true love. There, through the mist, I see my beloved, kilt flapping in the breeze. The fibers of his shirt struggle against his bulging muscles as he takes me from my horse and... my frittata!
Go to audible.com/actnow and your first download is free. Audible. Stories that surround you.
Say goodbye to thieves. Say hello to CudaCam by Barracuda Networks, the leader in cloud security and storage solutions. CudaCam is a complete cloud-hosted video surveillance solution that captures high-quality footage when motion is detected. Just plug in one or more CudaCam cameras with no network or camera configuration. Video evidence is automatically encrypted and stored in the Barracuda cloud for secure access from any web browser or mobile device. Visit CudaCam.com to learn why CudaCam is so easy on your wallet, yet so hard to avoid.
Dan's Outdoors in Springfield focuses on steelhead, salmon, trout, and kokanee. So if you're serious about fishing, Dan's Outdoors is the place. They feature live bait like sand shrimp, worms, and even custom cured roe. They even have blue and green label herring, sardines, and anchovies. Dan's also carries a full line of clear drift products, all kokanee kid gear, and much more. You can even get your fish and game licenses, rod and reel repair, line spooling, and pre-tied leaders. Check out Dan's Outdoors, 2787 Olympic Street, Suite 6, from 9 to 6 weekdays, 9 to 4 on Saturday, and on Facebook, Dan's with a Z.
The Wake Up Call.
To be honest, I've never seen such dysfunction.
With Holloway in London. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Well, it's post-election, and it just seemed like the right thing to do to have our buddy Alan Sachs, Professor Alan Sachs, political analyst and a political science professor, and the official, unofficial political scientist of the state of Texas, based on the legislature there. And he joins us on the Wake Up Call. And you think I'm joking about that. I'm not. Prof.
That's true.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Call. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's our pleasure. A couple of things to get to this morning. So, the University of Oregon, which is here in the town where we're broadcasting from, Eugene, the students over there got their panties in a wad and were, I wouldn't go so far as to say rioting, but close to it last night. Quite a few of them. But there's some riots down in California at some of the universities too, right?
And a few professors at some of our big universities, Yale and some others, they are postponing exams if the students feel a little bit stressed out because of the election results. This is exactly why people voted for Donald Trump last night. They're tired of that kind of stuff going on. I think it was a repudiation in some parts of the academic community. It was a repudiation of the dominant media, of the Republican establishment, of Hillary Clinton, of President Obama's legacy and some of his legislation, and that's why they voted for Donald Trump. But I think overall it was not just about it wasn't just about pro-Donald Trump. It was repudiation of Hillary Clinton and the establishment. That's what I think a lot of it was all about.
I would agree with you. You know, you brought up the media. Earlier in the show, I was talking about that. Rob and I were discussing that, and that I thought the biggest loser last night was the media.
That's right.
And it wasn't just because their coverage was so hilarious because they were so wrong. It's the way that they comported themselves during the entire process and the way they were so in the tank for Hillary Clinton.
And the way they argued, if they'd have on a Trump supporter, I would see them arguing with the supporter, you know. And you say that's not the role of an anchor or anything like that unless they are a commentator and talk about that they're a commentator and also a reporter. But they didn't do that. I saw Jake Tapper arguing with people on the other side.
Yeah, to me, I mean, the media lost hugely last night. Also, I wouldn't. A friend of mine texted me a little bit earlier, and he said, I'm going to try to find it here real quickly. Dealing with. It was pretty funny. My business advice for today: don't buy stock in a polling company.
That's right.
The polling companies, I mean, the pollsters were so egg on their face last night.
That's true.
Is anyone ever going to put credence in the polls after this?
Well, I think you're right. It's a lot of skepticism, although in defense of the pollsters, I read them a lot too, and I listened to them. Many of them were within the margin of error. So they gave Mrs. Clinton the edge, but it was within 3-4 points within the margin of error. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But There was one poll, Los Angeles Times USC poll, that consistently had Donald Trump ahead by 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. And it's interesting because I heard a lot of the pundits say that poll cannot be relied upon. It's the most unreliable methodology. They were the ones that were right, and the others were proven wrong.
So, moving forward, all right, last night, the president-elect said that he, wanted to reach out to all Americans, that he wanted to bring us together, so on and so forth. Do you see any way that the Democrats are ever going to do anything to work with him, even if some of the things that he wants to do would be a part of their agenda?
I think what Donald Trump needs to do early on is something that really President Obama did not do, is reach out to the other side and to his own party, have dinner with them, bring them over to the White House, go eat lunch with them, talk to them in a personal way. That's the way he needs to operate. President Obama did not do that. Once in a while, he'd have the majority leaders and the minority leaders up to his office, like little school children, and you could tell by their body language. Mitch McConnell would sit there like he was a school child, just like his body language. Donald Trump has to get over that. He has to meet them on their turf as much as calling them to the White House. Meet them on their turf. Talk to them. Have coffee with them. And in fact, there were a good number of Republican senators who I think helped Donald Trump a lot indirectly. They waged strong campaigns in their own state, and they won. I'm thinking of Bob Portman of Ohio, of Mr. Toomey in Pennsylvania, which was the most expensive Senate race in the history of America as far as the U.S. Senate is concerned. Marco Rubio in Florida. These people won. They had strong elections, and I think that's where the bottom of the ticket, so to speak, helped the top of the ticket. Usually it's reverse. This time I think it was the bottom of the ticket, these U.S. Senate races, that actually helped Donald Trump.
Where do you think, or do you think that, one, Newt Gingrich is going to be a part of a Trump cabinet? And the second question would be, where in that cabinet would he be?
That's fascinating. I've been thinking the same thing. Haven't heard Mr. Gingrich in the past 24 hours or so, but he campaigned hard for Donald Trump. So did Rudolph Giuliani. I think both of them will have some kind of a role, maybe not as a cabinet officer, because they're getting up in age. They may not want to do it full time. But if they want to, I think they'll be there. General Flynn, maybe as defense secretary. These are important people, and I think his cabinet's going to be very, very interesting. Kellyanne Conway, who ran the Donald Trump campaign brilliantly, communications secretary if she wants it, or press secretary. And she said if she's called upon, she'll go to Washington. This could be a very, very interesting cabinet and advisors and appointments all down the line.
So, next question. Another point of discussion this morning, and I'm kind of curious about your input on it, has to do with the Democrats and the Republicans. Specifically, last night, as it became obvious that Trump was going to win the election, this sort of like meme started of, well, now there's going to be this civil war in the Republican Party. And as I was sitting here listening to that, I'm thinking to myself, no, the civil war is going to be in the Democratic Party.
I think you're right. I think if Donald Trump reaches out to the Republicans, they'll be able to come together pretty well. He has some responsibility to reach out to them. They didn't like him, the Republican establishment. I think it'd be very gracious of him to reach out to the people that opposed him. Talk to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz seemed to be coming around. Speaker Ryan, the same thing. Talk to these individuals. Talk to the Bush family. Talk to Jeb Bush. He needs to bring him in. And I think that Donald Trump is going to do exactly that. His acceptance speech yesterday was really pretty gracious. And he didn't talk about himself. He said, this is a movement. We've won. It's not just myself. We have won. If he sticks to that theme, I think it'll be a winner.
All right, so the Democrats, my prediction is they swing harder left than they are now. What's your idea?
Absolutely. The Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party, they're going to swing left. And I don't know if they're going to be too successful because the Republicans control both the House and the Senate, Supreme Court appointments. But you're right. I think they're going to swing left, and they're wrong in doing that. That's not especially what the public wanted. We're going to get rid of Obamacare. The Iran deal, that terrible Iran deal that was made a year or two ago by Secretary of State John Kerry, and before him, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and President Obama, that could be in danger as well. So we're going to see some major changes taking place. And the Democrats may fight it, but I think to no avail.
All right. One final question. Going forward, 4 years from now, who do you think that is going to end up being the Democratic nominee to run against Donald Trump?
No idea whatsoever.
Oh, come on.
It's not going to be Bernie. They'll have to find. It's interesting because Republicans, the question was, who are you going to find? Somebody young and vibrant. And so we found a 70-year-old Donald Trump, or they did. The Democrats may have to look around and find somebody who can appeal to the working American. Yesterday, a good portion of the voters for Donald Trump were white, non-college degree people. And the Democrats have to, again, keep the black community, keep the Hispanic community, keep the women on your side, but reach out to a largely forgotten group. And that's what they also need to do. And if they're smart, I think they'll be able to do that.
All right. Prof,
also, tell the college students at Oregon, calm down and go to class.
Calm down and go to class.
And go to class.
Well, my whole thing was get over it.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people had to get over President Obama. Tell them that as well. They cannot have every day to their liking.
All right. Professor, have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next week.
That's my speech.
Right.
I appreciate it very much, sir.
All right, you take care. Professor Alan Sachs on the Wake Up Call this morning, News Radio 1120 KPNW. Actually, it was kind of funny before we went on the air. He was talking about the riots that were going on down in California at a couple of the universities. He referred to them as snowflakes. Made me laugh. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night, but it was not the fault of my Tempur-Pedic. This was self-imposed insomnia, staying up late. Although when I hit the Tempur-Pedic from Sleep Train, out, and I mean out. The whole thing about having a mattress is that it's something that you sleep on. And yet, most folks go out, they'll spend $1,000 or more on a recliner, which they're going to spend a couple hours a day in, and yet they try to go cheap on the mattress. Do it the other way around. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit more expensive mattress at Sleep Train because they're higher quality, but you're going to get better night's sleep. You spend a third of your life on that piece of furniture. Make sure it is the most comfortable one in your house. And consider all the other things that happen on the mattress, too. Like jumping. I think you need to head to Sleep Train.
If nothing else, for an excuse just to kind of throw your body into a Tesla experience and just stay under the covers for a couple of hours. You can do that, and you're researching. Mattress price wars going on right now, saving a ton of cash. That 120-day Love Your Mattress guarantee gives you 120 days from delivery to make sure it's the perfect fit. In Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem, and tell them you're like this with the Wake Up Call.
If you're serious about getting the right stove or fireplace for your home, place Midgley's at the top of your list. Midgley's is your exclusive Lane County dealer for some of the top brands on the market today, including Lopi, Yodel, Avalon, Valor, Town & Country, Blaze King, and Fireplace Extraordinaire. Check us out online at Midgleys.com. We're at the corner of 7th and Chambers in Eugene. Midgley's. Anywhere else and you're just playing with fire. CCB 161946.
Farmers, growers, anyone involved in the agriculture industry need to plan on coming to the 16th annual Willamette Valley Ag Expo, November 15th through the 17th in Albany. Over 170 vendors offering the latest innovations, equipment, and cost-saving ideas for your farm, ranch, orchard, or hobby farm. This show is a must-see because it's produced by the Willamette Valley Ag Expo Board, a nonprofit with a vested interest in your success. There's daily seminars and classes including core pesticide training, forklift certification, and more. This year, the antique farm equipment display is even larger and well worth seeing. Bring your family Wednesday night for the expanded Oregon Dine-Around. Ag Expo admission is just $4 and includes a $2 discount on a chicken fried steak lunch each day. The 16th annual Willamette Valley Ag Expo at the Lynn Fair and Expo Center on I-5 at exit 234 in Albany. Show hours are Tuesday 9 to 6, Wednesday 10 to 9, and Thursday 10 to 5. Parking is free. More information online at wvaexpo.com or call 800-208-2168.
The Veterinary Hospital is Eugene, Oregon's premier pet hospital. Open 7 days a week, our fully licensed and AHA-accredited team offer the latest in therapeutic laser technology to promote healing and pain management for your pet. The Veterinary Hospital. We care about pets and their people, too.
What do I got to do? Entertain your brain this morning.
Just got to broaden your mind a little bit.
With the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Today is the day after the election, and this was written and recorded before the vote on purpose. Regardless of what's happened at the polls, the reaction in the markets, stocks, bonds, commodities, and currencies, will be knee-jerk and amplified by computer trading. If you followed my advice and raised some cash going into the election, this is probably not the time to deploy it, at least not yet. We need to let things calm down, especially if the election outcome is still not completely settled. Here's the nugget. Remember that the big economic problems of health care, debt, jobs, pension funding, and the like are no different now than they were on Monday, and that unless one party has both houses of Congress and the White House, gridlock is going to continue. That means changes will be incremental, not revolutionary, unless or until some very off-the-wall event occurs. This also means that most of us need to continue to pay down debt, wait until something gets cheap before we buy it, and if possible, figure out how to protect our economic life from rising interest rates, which are still the biggest real danger to both the economy and most investments. Finally, remember that rising rates are not always caused by central banks. They can, and often do, spring up organically from forces in the economy or markets. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We've had about 1/10 of an inch over the last 4 or 5 hours from a weak cold front moving over the area, but this cold front will quickly dissipate as it moves into the Cascades. It'll be dissolved by high pressure. Right now I've got partly to mostly cloudy skies, temps in the upper 40s to low 50s, light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. That same cold front will dissipate quickly after lunch, giving us mostly clear skies in the afternoon and evening as the high pressure re-engages itself. That'll help shoot the highs back into the upper 50s to low 60s, about 63 here in town. Winds will shift north behind the cold front at 5 to 10 with gusts up to 15, but we should stay dry after that all the way until Friday when the next storm system rolls in with another cold front, bringing showers off and on. Then again on Sunday into Monday, these systems all seem to be about 36 hours apart. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Donald Trump has defeated Hillary Clinton with strong support from working-class voters. Turbulence in financial markets has calmed after a knee-jerk sell-off in stocks and rally in haven assets as investors are assessing the effects of the surprise victory. Derek Halpenny, Euro head of global markets research for MUFG, says that going forward, investors will watch Trump's dealings with his own party.
I think it's incorrect to describe this as a clean sweep because, is Trump truly a Republican? That's certainly questionable, and I think the interaction between the White House and Congress going forward will be crucial in determining the sentiment in the markets.
Healthcare shares are surging as investors are unwinding bets that a win by Clinton would bring intense regulatory scrutiny. In other news, GoPro shares are tumbling after the company said it is recalling about 2,500 of its new Karma drones. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield, USA.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. We're waiting to hear from Hillary Clinton any minute, addressing disappointed Democrats hours after Donald Trump was elected president, even though she has a slight edge in the popular vote. They're angry in Oregon, chanting "Impeach Trump." Hundreds also protested from Los Angeles to Seattle to Pittsburgh. Fox's Rachel Sutherland was at Trump's victory party last night and joins us live.
A little more than 2 months away from Inauguration Day, Trump is charged with putting together a transition team. He's also expected to get to work on fulfilling campaign promises such as rolling back Obamacare.
I promise you that I will not let you down. We will do a great job. We will do a great job.
With both the House and Senate still controlled by Republicans, Trump could have an easier time accomplishing his goals. President Obama, who will speak about the election in about an hour, will meet with Trump at the White House tomorrow. Dave.
Rachel, a little later this hour, we expect to hear from House Speaker Paul Ryan. Republicans will have at least 236 seats in the House. Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar, reelected in Texas, says
if he's willing to work with us and develop some consensus, he'll find people that can work with him. But a lot of it depends on what the new president-elect wants to do.
In the Senate, the GOP will have at least 51 seats. New Hampshire's race is still too close to call. Incumbent Republican Kelly Ayotte trailing Democrat Maggie Hassan only by hundreds of votes. Trump won at least 274 electoral votes, 4 more than he needed, and he leads in Arizona and Michigan, states too close to call yet. Trump had big support from white men and people who wanted change. Exit polls also show
Clinton did win Hispanics, and there was a record gender gap of 24%. But most voters called Supreme Court appointments an important factor and have a negative view of how the government is working. Trump won those groups by big margins.
Fox's Lisa Brady on Wall Street. That big stock sell-off that was feared never materialized. The Dow is now up 44 points. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
An unhealthy spine often starts with bad habits. Poor movement patterns and posture can damage the spine or throw it out of alignment. Over time, these bad habits can injure lumbar discs or cause them to wear out prematurely. The physicians at Neurospine Institute are experts in diagnosing painful back problems. They'll work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure the best care and treatment for your unique situation. Our team of neurosurgeons, pain management specialists, and physical therapists will evaluate your back problem and develop a treatment plan and help you get your life back.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
Again, we're waiting to hear Hillary Clinton in her first reaction since losing the presidential election to Donald Trump. She'll be speaking to supporters in New York in just a few moments. Next hour, we expect to hear from President Obama, who had called Donald Trump unfit to be commander-in-chief, and those two are set to meet tomorrow at the White House. Democrats were very critical of Trump for his praising Russia's president's leadership. Vladimir Putin has congratulated him. Fox's Simon Owen has that and other world reaction live from London.
Dave, world leaders sending messages of congratulations to the president-elect. Among the warmest, Russian President Vladimir Putin now proposing rebuilding US-Russia relations. The Russian parliament broke into applause after the result was announced. Italy and the UK both saying relations with America will remain strong. And a number of nationalist and far-right parties here have also welcomed the result. But the German foreign minister saying, quote, nothing is going to get easier and a lot will get harder. And in France, President François Hollande
Je le félicite comme il est naturel,
saying the result opens a period of uncertainty. Dave?
Simon, unrelated to the election, more controversy over that much protested Dakota oil pipeline.
North Dakota's Public Service Commission
Commission filing a complaint against Energy Transfer Partners of Texas, also proposing a $15,000 fine against the company building the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline. Native Americans say the pipeline has disrupted their sacred burial sites, and a number of artifacts, including tombstones, were found by company workers last month, but construction continued. The company insisting it diverted construction. No artifacts were disturbed, and the State Historic Preservation Office signed off on it. Jay Nutzler, Fox News.
The price of oil this morning is down about 40 cents, further below $45 a barrel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
Some people take the day off. Look at some of the trip check cams out there, Beltline. Not a lot of people out there on the roadways. News Radio 1120 KPNW 805 with clouds and sun mix. 65 with the temperature high.
Sad students that don't want to go to class today because Hillary lost. They're upset about it. And Rob pointed out, I didn't hear it, that we made the top of the hour news here in Oregon because of the U of O protesters over at the university over there, because they were protesting the fact that Trump won. It's like, get the hell over it.
You say that, but Trump wouldn't have gotten over it very easily had he lost.
It doesn't make any difference. I mean, that's not the point. We're talking about the students over there.
Right, let's not talk about that.
Get over it. Guess what? You don't get to win all the time. And guess what? Nobody's going to give you a participation medal. Okay? You lost. Live with it. If your candidate had won, there would have been a lot of other people that would have been upset, but you probably wouldn't have seen them out picketing and rioting because Trump lost. You're not going to see them marching around, rending their sackcloths and smearing themselves in ash about it. Get over it. And get over yourselves, snowflakes. That's the way life is. You don't get to win every time. As you should know, if you've been watching the U of O football team this year. What?
You think?
Yeah. That's the way life is. Somebody was saying earlier that even at some universities where they were having tests and stuff today, they gave the students the day off so that they could mourn or whatever they're going to do. And frequent emailer Paul sends that he goes, I was a freshman at the University of Nebraska when Kennedy was assassinated. None of my classes were canceled.
Yeah, same thing. I was in high school.
Yeah. So, anyway, that said, Gary's here, and you're probably thinking to yourself, okay,
Is it Thursday?
Did my drinking game last night during the actual coverage, did it get too out of hand? Did I lose a day? Is this my lost weekend? No, it's not. Gary's coming a little bit early. We're going to talk a little bit about the aftermath. So,
yeah.
So he was nice enough to be willing to do that. That said, we'll have news coming up. We'll talk about the elections. One of the things we'll be covering in particular is a lot of the local stuff, Lane County, and some of the other initiatives. 97 failed, but there were others that were on the ballot. We'll talk about those as well. That's coming up. Brought to you by Burrito Amigos. It's 8:08.
Oregon's Game Megabucks jackpot is over $6 million. Buy yours today.
Ramjack has your foundation solution. Ramjack can fix that. CCB 146906.
The days are shorter, the weather is gloomy, and then there's the stress of the holidays around the corner. It just seems like this time of year it's hard to catch a break. So take a deep breath and stop by Burrito Amigos. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Burrito Amigos is that happy little corner of your day where the meal is good and tasty and the people make you feel special. For breakfast, stop by the drive-thru on West 6th in Eugene or on 42nd Street in Springfield. Not only can you get a great bacon, sausage, machaco, or chorizo burrito, but you can also get a hot espresso just the way you like it. To bookend the day, maybe you don't want to go home home and deal with cooking, so grab the family and head to Burrito Amigos for a sit-down meal with burritos, tacos, nachos, tostadas, tamales, taco salad, enchiladas, tortas, and more. And you can get what you want with real cod, black Angus beef, chicken, pork, even tofu. And of course, Burrito Amigos will give you a little happiness in the middle of the day with a great lunch. Don't let the dark, cold stress of the season get you down. Get a Burrito Amigos smile. Burrito Amigos in Eugene and Springfield.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Brad's Cottage Grove Chevy GMC. Low prices, amazing selection.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
Support us at 4h.org.
Now, this morning's wake-up call with the latest news from the Northwest and your neighborhood. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Well, guess what? We have a new president. And guess what? It's not who the media told us it was going to be.
I look very much forward to being your president. And hopefully at the end of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or maybe even 8 years, you will say, so many of you worked so hard for us, but you will say that that was something that you were very proud to do. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
For her part, Hillary Clinton was supposed to address her faithful last night in New York City. Instead, she sent out her right-hand man, John Podesta, to try and rev the crowd up about 15 minutes before Donald Trump was crowned the victor. She was supposed to meet with her supporters this morning at 6 a.m. our time. Didn't do it. Then said she was going to do it again at 7:30 our time. Didn't happen. Now we're at 8:11, and it still hasn't occurred. The organizers of the Donald Trump campaign in Oregon say his victory was the result of a hard-fought battle. Tracy Honnell says the political director for Oregon wasn't able to be here for the celebration.
Jacob Daniels went over to Michigan to help. It was a battleground state that really needed some help. So he went over there, and our callers have really been working hard to call Michigan and get their voters out voting for Trump.
By the way, Jacob is a local area attorney, lives in Cresswell. Honnell said there was never any doubt in her mind that Trump would win. Hundreds of University of Oregon students marched and rioted last night in an anti-Trump protest in response to the presidential election results. Ultimately, the students made their way to the EMU amphitheater, where they spoke and they chanted and they were angry and they gnashed their teeth. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has defeated oncologist Dr. Bud Pierce to complete the final 2 years of former Governor John Kitzhaber's term. Brad Ford reports.
Governor Kate Brown took over when former Governor John Kitzhaber resigned, and now she'll complete his term.
I am so honored to be serving as your governor for the next 2 years.
She says her priorities will be funding for education and gun control.
Will you join me in the fight to pass common sense gun legislation?
Brown wants the legislature to pass the Charleston loophole, limit the size of ammunition magazines, and deny access to guns for people with records of domestic violence or mental illness. Brad Ford, KPNW.
And along with that, you can expect long lines at your local gun store this morning. Dennis Richardson has defeated Brad Avakian in the race for Oregon Secretary of State. Richardson says he knows it's surprising that a Republican has won a race in Oregon.
They're saying, is it possible? Can Dennis Richardson, a conservative Republican,
actually become the Secretary of State? And the answer is...
Richardson says his goal is to run the office of Secretary of State in such a nonpartisan manner that it'll be impossible to tell that he's a Republican. Democrat Tobias Reed defeated Republican Jeff Goodman in an under-the-radar race to replace Portland Mayor-elect Ted Wheeler as Oregon Treasurer, at least according to the returns that we have as of now. The Beaverton legislator is leading Goodman by about 3 percentage points. Not much of a race for Attorney General, unfortunately. Ellen Rosenblum retained control of the AG's office after mostly avoiding opponent Daniel Crow. Crow attacked Rosenblum for alleged pay for play and her connections to Backpage, an ad portal that promotes prostitution and child sex abuse. Rosenblum's husband owns the Willamette Week, and Backpage was one of the Willamette Week's biggest advertisers. Rosenblum dodged questions about her financial gains from Backpage and refused to debate Daniel Crow at any point during the election. Oregon voters have defeated Measure 97, the increase in tax on large corporations. Opponent Rebecca Tweed says voters thought it was way too much of an increase.
I think when they started to realize that this would be a tax on consumers and a tax that would cost families more and low, middle income and fixed income Oregonians, and that it would be a $6 billion blank check to Salem, they said no.
Ben Unger led the union campaign for the measure and says they will continue their fight.
We built the strongest and largest progressive coalition in the history of the state of Oregon, and we're going to keep fighting.
Measure 97 would have been the largest tax increase in Oregon history. The campaigns for and against the measure also set the money record for the most money ever spent on a measure. A ballot measure that would have taxed Oregon businesses failed, but voters did approve ballot measures on an array of different issues, measures covering everything from outdoor school to funding for vets. Measure 99 will take 4% of lottery proceeds a year, about $22 million, to provide a dedicated funding source for a week of outdoor school, a program that up to 90% of the state's sixth graders once attended. It passed, as did Measure 96. It will similarly take 1.5% of state lottery funds, about $19 million every 2 years for veterans services. It will be used to help veterans access state and federal benefits, as well as help them with employment, education, housing, health care, and treatment programs. You got to figure that $8 million a year is probably not going all that far. Measure 95 amends the state constitution to allow public universities to invest student tuition or state appropriations in the stock market, a practice that was banned for state agencies and currently still is, including Oregon public universities. It was the University of Oregon that asked state lawmakers to put it on the ballot, and Measure 95 passed with no organized opposition. At the high school level, Measure 98 will use state funding to boost Oregon's high school graduation rate, which is the most, or at least among the most pathetic in the nation. Measure 98 calls for the legislature to budget $800 for every Oregon high school student, or about $150 million a year, for programs that are supposedly supposed to improve graduation rates. The measure will not raise taxes. It also doesn't have a funding source. So the question is, how are they going to pay for it if the state revenues fail to meet expectations? Two ballot measures not involving funding for new or existing programs were on the ballot. Measure 100 banned the commerce in parts of 12 animal species that are poached at high rates, including elephants, rhinos, whales, sea turtles, tigers, and leopards. Measure 100 included exemptions for objects containing animal parts, such as certain antiques that are at least 100 years old, certain musical instruments, and products possessed by enrolled members of federally recognized Native American tribes. It passed. No funding is set aside to enforce the ban, which would be the responsibility of the Oregon State Police's Wildlife Division. Measure 94 would have amended the Oregon Constitution to remove a ban on state judges serving beyond the age of 75. It failed. All right, taking a look at some county propositions. Every single marijuana tax that was on the ballot passed. That includes Lane County's marijuana tax. And in all of those municipalities and in the county, they passed by large margins. Also, every city that had a marijuana facility prohibition on the ballot, all passed. That includes Coburg and Junction City. Coburg had a fuel tax on the ballot. It failed. Also, Cottage Grove had a fuel tax on the ballot. It failed as well. Cresswell's police services levy also failed, 61 to 38%. There was also a Lowell charter amendment. It passed, 83 to 16%. The Springfield fuel tax failed, 68 to 31%. Also, the Blotchley School District bond failed, 53 to 46%. Meanwhile, the school bond in the Crow-Applegate-Lorraine district passed last night, as did the Monroe 1J bond. As far as the Lane County Fire merger, that would be for fire number 1. It passed 85 to 14%. The Lane Rural Fire Rescue merger also passed by a similar margin. The Heceta water dissolution passed. The Fern Ridge Library levy failed, and the Western Lane ambulance levy also passed. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden says now that he's won re-election and the Republicans control everything, he plans to fight harder than ever.
I will fight every single violation of the rule of law and defend the principles our country has been founded on.
Apparently, he wasn't doing that before. Wyden says he plans to take the views and issues of Oregonians and those that Oregonians support to make them a foundation for his work in the nation's capital. Democrat Peter DeFazio defeated, once again, Republican challenger Art Robinson for the 4th straight time. He'll return to Congress in January to serve for a 16th term. DeFazio led by a wide margin in last night's returns. Congressman Kurt Schrader, Earl Blumenauer all easily won re-election, as did Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici and Oregon Republican Greg Walden. The congressman from Eastern Oregon and Southern Oregon has won re-election. He says he will continue his fight for local issues.
And we must continue to work to grow jobs in our communities and to stand up against an overreaching federal government and reduce the government spending and debt.
Walden says his top priority is to fight for veterans so they can get the help they deserve. Democrat Julie Fahey appeared to prevail against her GOP opponent, Kathy Lamberg, in the race for the only open seat among Lane County's state legislative delegation. That's in House District 14. According to late returns, Fahey was ahead of Lamberg by about 3 percentage points, 51 to 48%. However, according to the Lamberg campaign, there are still a number of votes to be counted, and they're not calling anything yet. The balance of power appears to remain steady in Salem after most closely contested districts did not change party hands. Democrats are in position to hold on to their majority in the House, but they're at the risk of losing their supermajority in the Senate, according to results. Republicans' expensive push to flip a district in Happy Valley appears to be failing, according to returns, and an effort to give the legislature its first independent party of Oregon member by ousting a Republican in Polk County was massively unsuccessful. Democrats and Republicans are splitting 2 tight Senate races, one on the Oregon coast and the other in southern Oregon. Democrat Senator Arnie Roblin of Coos Bay is barely defeating Republican challenger Dick Anderson, the former mayor of Lincoln City. That district covers a huge swath of the Oregon coast. And in non-election related news, gas prices are starting to slowly decline in Oregon. Brad Ford has the details.
The national average price for gas is holding steady at $2.21 a gallon, but Oregon's average has declined 2 cents, according to the AAA, to an average of $2.53 a gallon. It's a bit surprising because supplies on the West Coast are getting tighter. Oregon is one of 30 states where prices have fallen over the last week. Prices on the West Coast do remain highest in the country. California tops the list at $2.79, Washington at $2.71, Alaska at $2.62, and then Oregon. Diesel prices are flat nationally, but up a penny in Oregon at $2.57 a gallon. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
It is 8:23, News Radio 1120 KPNW. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Portland Trailblazers have won 3 in a row, but almost tried to give away last night's game against the Suns. After blowing an 18-point lead, the Blazers allowed the Suns to get back into the game. Needed some Damian Lillard action at the 3 to secure the, or at the free throw line rather, 124-121, the final. Lillard finishing with 38. McCollum, CJ, another 33. College football playoff ranking, Washington finally getting into the top 4 after Texas A&M got dusted last week by 3-win Mississippi State. You've got Alabama, Clemson, and Michigan. Finally, Washington making the top 4. Number 2 Crestwell girls soccer team perhaps looking ahead and heading to the championship game. Got beat at home by number 3 Oregon Episcopal 3-1. Bulldogs had previously been undefeated at home. The Aardvarks will play Catlin Gable in the final. They beat Pleasant Hill 3-0. Could have been a Crestwell-Pleasant Hill final. If it's not anything on the football team, on the football field, it's off-field antics for the football Ducks. Injuries, too much for Canton Kamatule. He's done, claiming a medical hardship. That means the 6'7", 295-pound Kamatule can still remain on scholarship to get his degree, and it won't count against the football quota. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle on Franklin, across from Market of Choice. News time, 8:25.
KPNW weather, brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, we've been tracking a cold front the last few hours that has brought light showers. We've got partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now in the upper 40s to low 50s, and light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. This cold front will quickly lose energy and dissipate as it tries to push into the Cascades. The high pressure will just completely eat it up. That means this afternoon, that same high pressure will bring mostly sunny skies as the skies continuously clear out throughout the afternoon. Highs will shoot into the upper 50s to low 60s, 63 here in town. Winds will shift north behind the cold front at 5 to 10 with a few gusts up to 15. Then we get a break from the rain all the way until Friday when the next system moves in. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Does your home or business have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Discover why Ramjack is the only foundation company you'll ever need. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Choose Ramjack. CCV 146906.
You've heard me talk about glutamine and how important it is for your body. It repairs every cell in the human body, giving you overall optimal health. It's odorless, tasteless, and flavorless. Stop by, give it a try. You won't taste a thing. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard in Eugene.
Each franchise independently owned and operated. Offer good on selected product at participating franchises only. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
Stay tuned for a special offer from Budget Blinds.
Honey, I just tried to turn on the TV with the remote and our new shades went up. What's going on?
Oh, I got the new shades from Budget Blinds. They're motorized. Now we don't have to keep getting up and down to adjust them. We can do it with the push of a button. Pretty convenient, huh?
Wow, you're a genius.
The Budget Blinds motorization event is here with huge savings on the most stylish, kid-friendly motorized window coverings available anywhere. And right now, you can get a rebate up to $500 when you purchase motorized Signature Series window coverings powered by Somfy. Plus, Budget Blinds does all the measuring and installation and gives you a free in-home design consultation. Call now to get an up to $500 rebate on motorized window coverings from Budget Blinds. This event ends soon. Call your locally owned Budget Blinds at 1-800-611-9262. That's 1-800-611-9262. 1-800-611-9262. Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas. When I was playing ball, they called me the Big Hurt. But after I left the game, Mother Nature started putting a big hurt on me. I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, it wasn't my fault. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. But luckily, I found out about Nugenics.
Nugenics is a unique man-boosting formula powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help boost your free testosterone levels. Get a complimentary bottle now by texting BOOST to 321321. With Nugenics, you can feel stronger, leaner, with a lot more stamina and energy.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics is GNC's #1 selling men's vitality product. Get a complimentary bottle now by texting BOOST to 321321. Nugenics samples are not available in stores. So again, text BOOST to 321321.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Wake Up Call with Holloway in London on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Good morning.
Hey, look who's here a day early. And he's going to be here tomorrow, too. But we're going to be a little bit more specific about what we talk about today. It is Gary Conley from Conley Capital, and it's part of our post-election coverage. That's what we'll call it.
All right.
Why not?
Sure, I'm good with that.
All right, post-election. Anyway, well, welcome in. So, last night, the pundits were saying that they were looking at the futures, and they were saying, "Oh, this is going to be a bloodbath on Wall Street. Oh, this is going to be the worst thing ever." And we're bemoaning the fact, well, now that Donald Trump's win, it's going to be a disaster on Wall Street. It's going to be hideous. It's going to be horrible. And so far, everything is up this morning.
Yeah, if you looked at the futures overnight, maybe around 11 o'clock on the West Coast, or a little earlier when it looked like Trump was going to win, the Dow Jones was down 1,000 points. By the time I basically gave up and went to bed about 11:30 or so, I guess, it was only down 500 points. This morning it's up. So what do you take away from that? In some ways, that not really very much has changed. Secondly, you have to remember that the trading, as far as the sell-off went, was basically in Asia and Europe, and and the computers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is that it's too soon now, way too soon to tell what, if anything, is going to happen. Yep. The national debt problems haven't changed. The economic problems haven't changed. The potential for interest rates going up haven't changed. I think you're just going to have to wait and see how this all settles out over the next, few days, few weeks.
Dow Jones, I'm just brought the numbers up. Dow Jones is up 95. The S&P 500 is up 3.3. NASDAQ Composite's up 13.5, so everything is essentially up.
Yeah,
and not hugely, but
no, just essentially unchanged, really.
Yeah.
So, what's the takeaway from that? Well, there are an awful lot of things that are unchanged. The basic problems of debt, taxes, problems in the healthcare system, none of that's changed. The potential for some changes to be made there certainly are portended not so much by the fact that Trump won, I don't think, but by the fact that the Republicans have got both houses of Congress and the White House. So that would at least historically presume that they are going to be able to make things change more quickly than they would have if that wasn't the case, either side. But the problem is that you don't have any real idea of what's going to happen, how it will change. I mean, I had said before that, if Clinton won, that you would get basically more of the same, which means that because of the situation with how much debt we've got, eventually it comes to a bad end. In this particular case, maybe it comes to a spectacular bad end. But maybe it doesn't.
Well, what would make it come to a spectacularly bad end?
Well, you could have some kind of changes in regulatory reform. You could have some kind of, you could borrow a lot more money, which is probably going to happen, and waste it again. I mean, if we go into a recession, and even if interest rates don't go up very much, if you look out a couple of years from now, you could have just the interest on the debt eating somewhere in the order of 12, 13, 14% of tax collections. I mean, that's a disaster. Okay? Eventually, the debt is going to have to be dealt with, and there was no talk about this in the election, and it's literally the elephant in the room. And you're either going to have some kind of a default, literally, or you're going to blow it away by inflation, or you're going to make some changes that are going to cause the economy to grow again, and that's the way that you're going to handle it. That's probably an outlier, as we've discussed before, but with the right kind of regulatory reform, the right kind of tax reform, it's not impossible. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying that,
right.
That's the good outcome. The spectacular failure is that you spend all the money or you do something comes off the wall, and
What do you think that they could do? And when I say they, I'm talking about Capitol Hill, President-elect Trump. What could they do other than, some regulatory changes? I mean, what could they do to really spur economic growth in this country?
Well, I think probably an easiest in quotes, or the most likely thing that they could do would be some kind of a tax reform that actually would encourage job creation and businesses. Another thing that they could do from a regulatory standpoint would be actually to break up the big banks, although with the books of derivatives and the way they're so intertwined, I'm not sure how you would do that in a quote-unquote safe manner. But you're going to have some kind of relatively radical change. And if you do that, you've also got, number one, you've got some risk. And the other thing is that even that way is not really Pollyannish, because you're not going to get out of this without some pain, some economic pain.
What would breaking up the banks do?
Well, what breaking up the banks would do and actually letting them fail, the smaller pieces fail. If you broke them up into pieces where you didn't have so big that there was systemic risk, then you would introduce some competition again and some not so much efficiencies, but market efficiencies. I mean, I think you'd have parts of the economy served much better than they are now.
What would your hope be? I mean, out of this, what would your hope be? A realistic hope?
Well, my realistic hope would be that we get some tax reform, we get some modification some way to health care, and I don't know what they would be, which would be economic modifications. And less realistic probably would be that we get some regulatory reforms. I say less realistically because people who are elected come and go, and the people who are down in the bowels of the FDA and the EPA and the rest of the regulatory places, they're pretty well entrenched. They know how to protect their own turf and themselves, and so that feels more difficult. I don't know whether that's realistic or not.
Okay, so I'm kind of on topic but off. Did yesterday's results surprise you at all?
I didn't have any. I guess yes, because I didn't have really, I don't think, any idea how it was going to come out. You could have made a case either way at the end. The polls aren't really accurate. The media itself is, obviously not to be believed. I mean, in some senses, we had a Brexit kind of an outcome. So, was I surprised? Yeah, I guess I was. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. The surprising, the thing that I fear is also the thing that I hope. I mean, you asked me what my best hope was. My best fear is, or my worst fear is, that you've got too much control in one place now, assuming that the Republicans can pull them back together. And that often leads to things with unintended consequences that aren't good. So,
like the ACA.
Well, like the ACA, like Dodd-Frank, like the bailout of the banks without, breaking them up. I mean, there were opportunities in that last crisis for some reforms that just simply didn't happen. And instead, we borrowed a bunch more money, ran up a bunch more debt, and at some point, that's going to have to be reckoned with. But what the markets are telling you is not today.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll come up with something else to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we will.
Thanks for coming in on short notice.
It's okay.
Take care. It is 8:37, News Radio 1120 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are fluctuating as investors are assessing a surprise victory by Donald Trump. How did Hillary Clinton lose when it came to the economy? We spoke with Greg Valliere, Chief Global Strategist at Horizon Investments.
She did not have a pro-growth agenda. Whether it was taxes, regulations, she didn't talk enough about growth. She didn't have an agenda that got people excited.
Looking closer at the future of business, Donald Trump's stance against AT&T's takeover of Time Warner may herald a broader intervention in mega mergers under the next administration. Trump has vowed to block the $85 billion transaction, calling it poison to democracy. Pharmaceutical stocks among the rare winners as the election eased concerns that Democrats would enact controls on drug prices. And shares of prison operators such as Corrections Corporation of America are surging on speculation that a Republican administration is less likely to continue with a shift away from privatized correctional facilities. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg.
Every election year you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right, Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
At Michelob Ultra, we know it's not just about how much you work out every day. It's about how much you work into every day, too. That's why we brew a beer for those who realize that expending calories should never come at the expense of spending time with friends. And for those who understand that just because you work out doesn't mean you can't go out. Hey, that's why we brew Michelob Ultra to have 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, and an exceptional taste. Michelob Ultra, brewed for those who go the extra mile. Enjoy responsibly. 2016 Michelob Ultra Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 0.6 grams protein, 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
For over 35 holidays, Sherry's has been making award-winning pies for Northwest families. Wrapped in their red and green boxes, Sherry's pies put a delicious exclamation point on your family's holiday meals. Because memorable holiday feasts get that way with freshly baked berry and pumpkin pies. They're also a great way to take folks' minds off the boss's flashing red tie at your office party. Sherry's Cafe and Pies. Order your holiday pies at sherry's.com and take Sherry's pies home for the holidays.
When I listen to Audible, I'm not cooking dinner for one. I'm on horseback, galloping across the Scottish moors towards my one true love. There, through the mist, I see my beloved, kilt flapping in the breeze. The fibers of his shirt struggle against his bulging muscles as he takes me from my horse and... my frittata!
Go to audible.com/actnow and your first download is free. Audible. Stories that surround you.
Say goodbye to thieves. Say hello to CudaCam by Barracuda Networks, the leader in cloud security and storage solutions. CudaCam is a complete cloud-hosted video surveillance solution that captures high-quality footage when motion is detected. Just plug in one or more CudaCam cameras with no network or camera configuration. Video evidence is automatically encrypted and stored in the Barracuda cloud for secure access from any web browser or mobile device. Visit CudaCam.com to learn why CudaCam is so easy on your wallet, yet so hard to avoid.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We've had about a tenth of an inch over the last 4 or 5 hours from a weak cold front moving over the area, but this cold front will quickly dissipate as it moves into the Cascades. It'll be dissolved by high pressure. Right now I've got partly to mostly cloudy skies, temps in the upper 40s to low 50s, light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. That same cold front will dissipate quickly after lunch, giving us mostly clear skies in the afternoon and evening as the high pressure re-engages itself. That'll help shoot the highs back into the upper 50s to low 60s, about 63 here in town. Winds will shift north behind the cold front at 5 to 10 with gusts up to 15, but we should stay dry after that all the way until Friday when the next storm system rolls in with another cold front, bringing showers off and on. Then again on Sunday into Monday, these systems all seem to be about 36 hours apart. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
So here's the deal. I'm thinking today a lot of people are making forts. And if you want a consult, I have a 5-year-old consultant who is awesome at making forts on their mattress. Maybe just, kind of kicking some pillows around, adjusting the sheets, and not coming out for a day or two. Just a little decompression, a little meditation. Hopefully you got a good mattress to do that on. And if you haven't, maybe as soon as you come out of your little domicile hut thing, you make a beeline for Sleep Train. With the mattress price wars going on right now, we're talking about great deals. How about $600 off on Tempur-Pedic? Saving on every model. Cooling Tempur Breeze, exclusive Tempur HD. You take your pick and save. Or how about $400 off on Beauty Rest and Posturepedic, 2 of Sleep Train's most popular mattress brands. 5 years interest-free financing right now. No money down. Subject to credit approval in Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem. They're waiting for you.
So head on in to Sleep Train, take the free test lay, find the mattress that's best for you. Sleep Train, like Rob said, Corvallis, Albany, Eugene, and Springfield. And if you're not too embarrassed, tell them that the Wake Up Call sent you.
Okay, ready?
Holloway in London.
Okay.
And the Wake Up Call.
I've got good news.
News Radio 1120, KPNW.
845 News Radio 1120 KPNW. The Eugene International Film Festival happening here next week, November 14th through the 20th. If you want to check out the website, eugenefilmfest.org, to talk about that. 2 ladies. We have Storm Kennedy and one of the filmmakers, Catherine Wilson. Welcome into the studio, ladies.
Thanks for having us, gentlemen.
Good
Morning.
Catherine, welcome. Let's start with you. You started your career several years ago, and you've been involved in just about every motion picture here in Oregon. How did you get involved with this culture? How did you get into the whole film business?
Oh, kicking and screaming. No, I'm kidding. I was at the University of Oregon, and I was studying literature, and the books are really expensive, and people kept saying, listen, I'll pay you if you be in my film. And Eugene was like this incredible poetic cinema capital of the world, according to the expert Stan Brakhage back then. And we would go down to the Army-Navy surplus store and buy ends of 16-millimeter film, and that's how long our movie was. So that's how it all started. And the next thing I know, they were asking me to, bring my girlfriends and put them in. I said, I will, but I'm going to charge you, and you're going to pay them. And so I became a casting agent by default. But my favorite thing was location scouting. I'd get a call, and they'd go, well, we need this and this and this and this. And I would go out and film it and send it to them, and then they'd fly up, and next thing I know, we had a movie here. I did that for Stand By Me and for Animal House and How to Beat the High Cost of Living.
What in this state,
cool, right?
He's traveling around and then taking pictures.
Yeah.
And getting paid for it.
Great job.
And you just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, I did.
That's even better.
I know.
I mean, there really is. I mean, that's one of those serendipitous things where you just go, oh, okay. It's very cool.
Really was. And I ended up with the Oregon Film Factory, which was a bunch of guys that had borrowed Ken Kesey's 16-millimeter camera. And believe it or not, we went and made KPNW ads back in the 70s. It was one of our staples. And I was good friends with Dave Woodward, who was general manager back then.
Do you have any copies of them?
I wish.
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
I wish you guys had them. But we just had a ball working with KPNW, and we did Williams Bread commercials, and that's where I met my third love, which was set design. I created a set for A Slice of Life, Williams Bread.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's how
You're just kind of looking for opportunity, and you take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So as part of the Eugene International Film Festival, then, what is your role in it?
I've been a big supporter. Mike Dilley has a history similar to mine. I mean, probably predates me with Rooster Cogburn. He worked as a PA on that, and he worked with Robert Mitchum's brother, and he's got a long history also with a producer studio. So we've, run into each other for decades now. We're going on 50 years in the business.
Talk about Animal House of Blues, your film.
Okay, well, one of the films that landed in our lap, actually, through location scouting, was Animal House. And I didn't want to work on it. The script was so awful. And I was a poet, don't you know? But it was a job. And my friends at the Oregon Film Factory said, we're already on it. Actually, I missed the phone call. They're the ones that picked up my phone. And the guy goes, do you have like these 26 locations? We're ready to lose the film unless we got kicked out of everywhere we went back east. And don't you have like this, English-looking campus? And I said, yeah, Ivy everywhere, Ivy League-looking school. Back then we did. Dee Dee Hall was covered with ivy. So the next thing I know, they're flying up, and they're being coy, but we saved the day for them, and I started casting 1,400 extras and 27 speaking roles.
Yeah.
Animal House Blues is about that story, but it's, for me, I wanted the world to know what this community did for Animal House, the untold stories. You won't see Kevin Bacon or, John Landis talk about the fact that we saved the production. We brought all this creative elements to it. And then one night, after filming the Toga Party scene on October 31st, 1977, the nights I cast with Otis Day were the greatest blues musicians in the Northwest. I had a record store back then. My husband worked that while I did film, and Belushi went crazy when they were jamming between, takes in the Toga Party, setting up the cameras. They would jam. And Robert Cray finally went, listen, I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. I'm not losing my real job at the Eugene Hotel. I have to leave. And we all followed him over to the Eugene Hotel. And Belushi went nuts when he saw this guy named Curtis Salgado with these Ray-Bans. And the rest of the band had these fedoras on and these old blues suits, narrow ties.
Yeah.
And bam. So there was Curtis, who looked just like Belushi. As a casting director, Curtis doesn't see this. We just talked about this, but I saw it. Belushi was a great mimic. He started mimicking Curtis Salgado. And the other guy was D.K. Stewart, the piano player who looked just like Aykroyd. That's how the Blues Brothers was born. The world needs to know this story.
Very cool. Let's bring Storm in for a minute here. Storm, there's a whole bunch of things going on. Why don't you kind of run them down for folks that want to find out a little bit more about the Eugene International Film Festival?
Absolutely. Thanks. So it starts on Monday the 14th, and the Eugene International Film Festival, the week that's really kicking off is kind of exciting because it's called the Foodie Films. And Foodie Films, meaning that there's some sponsors behind each film. And on Monday, the film's going to be the North American Brewing Renaissance. And they're going to, with Agrarian ales. There we go.
Agrarian
I think
ales.
agrarian.
Yeah.
So I'm not a real beer person. So that's why I had to. Anyway, that's called Beer Monday. And so it's going to be a little party plus the film, and it's all taking place at the Bijou Metro. So there's not a lot of seats, as we all know. Get your tickets early and be a part of that. On Tuesday, it's Chocolate Tuesday, Chocolate Pathway to the Gods with Coconut Bliss. They're, what's wrong with that? Isn't that
Nothing.
awesome?
No, I love chocolate. What are you talking about?
Right. All right, on Wednesday, it's Wine Wednesday. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this one right, Rob. The Promise, Oregon premiere with Lavelle Vineyards. That's
there you go.
Easy,
Obviously a wine drinker.
Exactly. Not a wine drinker either.
Really?
No.
Are you a Scotch gal?
That's the ticket there.
Scotch? Yeah? Really?
Going on to, look at you. Oh my God. This is as far as I go, Bill.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, if you want.
But wasn't that back in the 70s you guys did that on air?
Oh, yeah.
We still do. Well,
Yeah.
you got your choice.
Oh, jeez. Catherine.
Oh, I'll tell you.
My gosh.
I had to give that
See, I've
stuff
never-
up after partying with Belushi.
I was just wondering,
Well, the Beer Monday, you know, I'm thinking this is a great studio to be in for
It's a
Beer
good
Monday. I
tie-in,
feel like
huh?
I'm in, you know.
So where are we at? Thursday?
All right, Thursday, we're at Thursday, Tailgate Thursday, thanks to Grocery Outlet, the Mountain Runners. In fact, Mike Dilley did the Mountain Runners. And this is an incredible documentary, and hoping to get, I guess, more excitement around it from the community, since we're such, you know, track town, USA. And Mountain Runners goes way back. I saw part of it the other night. It's a great film.
How many films are there?
Oh my gosh! You know what? I can't believe you're asking me that, because
she hasn't counted them yet.
There's like 35 films.
And filmmakers, most of them going to be on hand?
Yep, filmmakers are going to be on hand. In fact, there's one, I got to just talk about this, Centaur. It's this precedent-setting documentary exposes the brutal wild horse roundups and controversial environmental management by the Bureau of Land Management Director James Kleinart. He's confronted by multinational corporations. They're threatened by the exposure of their corrupt dealings with the Department of Interior. So, you know, it's a total intense film. It grabs your heart. But the lawyer for this whole situation is out of Corvallis, and he's going to be here at the film too. The filmmaker's going to be there, plus the lawyer behind this whole thing that's still going on. And there's a Q&A after each and every film. So there'll be somebody to talk about each and every film, whether it's the filmmaker, a director, a producer, a lawyer, an actor. Yeah, there's going to be somebody at each film. So that's really cool. So I'm going to round out the foodies, Tailgate Thursday, and then Friday it's the Oakshire Public House Writers Filmmakers Retreat, and there's still room at the Writers Filmmakers Retreat, and writers and filmmakers like Tom Sawyer, Ken Sherman, and Mike Catchman are
You
all
guys
got
to go to that. It is incredible. These guys are huge in the industry.
If somebody wanted to go and get like a pass to see as many as they can, how much is the pass?
It's $35.
That's not bad. Like a
$35
film?
for the pass.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, or $8 per film. But you get the $35 pass, and you're into whatever film you want to go to the entire time.
You have people coming from all over the world?
People coming
I mean,
from all
it's
over
the International Film Festival.
Thailand is the farthest they're coming from. International Film Festival.
Wow.
Yeah. All different states, filmmakers right here in Oregon, like Catherine. And let's just go with Catherine's film. Let's see, when is that?
9 p.m. on November 18th.
You're
Friday.
using
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Oh,
Did they print it wrong?
Oh, no, you're right, 7 p.m.
Oh, there
I
you
read
go.
it wrong.
Oh,
Well,
and
you're
also,
reading your map.
I'm a trained professional.
Bill, this is good. The maps can be had right here
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
KPNW.
Let's give away a pair of tickets right now. First caller, if you want to go, we'll give you a pair of passes right now with the map, 54145 KPNW. And if you want to check out the website, EugeneFilmFest.org. Ladies, thank you both for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
oh, I got to tell you, though, one more thing. You come to Cottage Grove, you're going to be able to walk through the Animal House door. It's been recreated from actual wood from the Animal House.
All right,
Cottage
thank you,
Grove
ladies.
Farm.
You're independent and want to stay that way, but you'd like some friendship and security. Consider Eugene's elegant yet affordable retirement living, Turpentine Terrace. At Turpentine Terrace, friendships grow through activities, the all-day restaurant-style dining, and the warm community environment. The large studio, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom apartments are the best value in Eugene. They have a secure parking garage and are near excellent retail stores. Call for a free tour and lunch, 689-0619. Turpentine Terrace, a tremendous time of life.
Touchdown, Oregon!
Precision counts, whether it's a big game on the line or your quality of life.
I had excruciating pain in my cheek and jaw, a condition called trigeminal neuralgia. My doctor recommended Sacred Heart Gamma Knife Center.
The physicians used highly focused, precise radiation beams to target the nerve. Game over for Mary's pain in just a few weeks. If you have a brain tumor or episodes of severe facial pain, ask your primary doctor or specialist about Gamma Knife. Visit peacehealth.org/Gamma Knife to learn more.
Want to see what you'd look like if you had a flatter belly? Now's your chance, because for a limited time, we're giving away free trials of Soma Biotics, the new discovery that flattens bloated bellies fast. But hurry and call now while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-600-9425. Strict limit of one free trial per household. These free trials are reserved for anyone, male or female, who's looking for maximum belly flattening in minimum time. Soma Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Want to see what you'd look like with a flatter belly? Now's your chance. But hurry, call now for details while we're still giving these trials of Somabiotics away for free. 1-800-600-9425. That's 1-800-600-9425. If lines are busy, try again. 1-800-600-9425.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are rising in heavy trading in the aftermath of Donald Trump's surprise presidential election win. On speculation, the Republican will pursue business-friendly policies, and that's boosted gains in shares from banks to heavy equipment operators. Here's famed bond investor Bill Gross of Janus Capital.
They've got a hand to implement policies that are corporate friendly. We're talking about corporate tax reform, and that should favor corporations and profits.
Healthcare shares and lenders surging as investors unwound bets that a win by Hillary Clinton would bring stronger regulatory scrutiny. A knee-jerk sell-off overnight in global stocks and a rally in haven assets reversed on speculation that Trump would increase fiscal spending to spur economic growth. Republican control of both houses of Congress may enable the party to enact sweeping legislation that would be considered pro-business. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
We report, you decide. This is News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield, USA.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Lisa Brady.
This is painful, and it will be for a long time.
Hillary Clinton moments ago in her first comments since last night's stunning loss, saying the country was even more divided than we thought, as she put it.
Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead.
Clinton says American democracy depends on a peaceful transition of power.
Our constitutional democracy demands our participation, not just every 4 years, but all the time.
She's urging supporters to never stop fighting for what's right.
This is the most incredible political feat I have seen in my lifetime.
House Speaker Paul Ryan, who had all but abandoned the president-elect in the final weeks of the campaign, now says he connected with people.
Donald Trump heard a voice out in this country that no one else heard.
Ryan pledging to work hand in hand on a positive agenda. Returns are still coming in. AP just calling Minnesota for Clinton, and she's taken a slim lead in the popular vote, with several million still to be counted. New Hampshire's Democratic governor just declaring victory in a razor-thin race for U.S. Senate. Fox Radio's Bill Marcus is live in Manchester.
Lisa, Hillary Clinton may have lost nationally, but her small margin of what is also looking like a victory in New Hampshire may have helped Maggie Hassan oust a sitting incumbent senator. With 98% of the vote in, Hassan was ahead of incumbent Republican Kelly Ayotte by 870 votes. There's been no concession from Ayotte, Republicans predicting a recount. Voter turnout here was extremely high. Another reason for the delay is that New Hampshire uses paper ballots, counted by hand or optical scan. Lisa?
Thanks, Bill. Meantime, Wall Street is now rallying. The Dow is up 192 points. That's more than 1%. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
If you are behind on your bills, then this message is for you. How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt or medical bills forgiven? National Credit Card Relief would like to give you free information on a proven debt forgiveness program. It's not bankruptcy, it's not consolidation. This special program actually wipes clean the portion of your debt that is forgiven. Call for your free forgiveness information now. 800-719-2090. That's 800-719-2090. Don't wait. Call 800-719-2090.
Want to invest but don't know what to do? In search of fixed double-digit rates immune to currency, real estate, and stocks? Discover the alternative asset Barron's magazine describes as lucrative and safe. An investment immune to Fed manipulation and low interest rates. Request a prospectus guide. Call Cornerstone at 800-222-INFO. 800-222-INFO. That's 800-222-INFO.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles,
Here's Deb Carson.
Well, both measures that could have helped fund a stadium in downtown San Diego for the Chargers have failed. So owner Dean Spanos has until January 15th to decide whether to move to Los Angeles and agree to build a stadium or at least share a stadium with the Rams in Inglewood as it is being constructed. College football last night, 21st ranked Western Michigan won at Kent State 37-21. Washington has jumped up to number 4 in the new college football playoff rankings. Alabama, Clemson, and Michigan remain atop the rankings at 1, 2, and 3, respectively. On the hardwood, the Hawks handed the Cavaliers their first loss of the season, 110-106. Cleveland, now 6-1, had been the only remaining undefeated team in the NBA. The only winless team still winless. The Pelicans are now 0-8 after a 102-94 loss in Sacramento to the Kings.
When I listen to Audible, I'm not cooking dinner for one. I'm on horseback, galloping across the Scottish moors towards my one true love. There, through the mist, I see my beloved, kilt flapping in the breeze. The fibers of his shirt struggle against his bulging muscles as he takes me from my horse and... my frittata!
Go to audible.com/actnow and your first download is free. Audible. Stories that surround you.
Say goodbye to thieves. Say hello to KudaCam by Barracuda Networks, the leader in cloud security and storage solutions. KudaCam is a complete cloud-hosted video surveillance solution that captures high-quality footage when motion is detected. Just plug in one or more KudaCam cameras with no network or camera configuration. Video evidence is automatically encrypted and stored in the Barracuda cloud for secure access from any web browser or mobile device. Visit KudaCam.com to learn why KudaCam is so easy on your wallet, yet so hard to avoid.
Tune in to Real Estate Today, weekdays at 5:30 p.m.
I'm Bob Nelson.
And I'm Marcia Edwards of the Real Estate Today Show. We've been standing next to Mark Brockett of Willamette Valley Bank Home Loan Division. He is an amazing lender for residential loans.
He has an opportunity to take a look at your situation, identify, but for instance, should you refinance? It could save you a lot of money for a number of years to come. Fantastic.
That's Mark Brockett. Call him today.
You can reach Mark at 541-431-0236. That's Willamette Valley Bank Home Loan Division at 3007 North Delta, Suite 205.
Midgley's makes it easy to stay green with your next stove or fireplace insert. Blaze King features wood stoves that can burn up to 40 hours while effectively heating 1,500 to 3,000 square feet. Their reduction in emissions helps protect the environment. Midgley's is your exclusive Lane County Blaze King dealer. Check us out online at midgleys.com. We're at the corner of 7th and Chambers in Eugene. Midgley's. Anywhere else and you're just playing with fire. CCB 161946.
It's 9:06 and time for Rush. Rush Limbaugh on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
To you, music lovers, thrill seekers, conversationalists all across the fruited plain. Rush Limbaugh documented to be almost always right 100% of the time. A new special opinion audit in from the Sullivan Group in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Man, there is so much to say. There are so many vibrantly great feelings to share. We have not lost our country. It turns out, it might even be fair to say we really weren't even that, well, we are close. We're close, but we have not lost the country. We learned also that it was not necessary to go through these past 8 years. I don't want to rewrite history, but my point here is that the Democrats can be beat if they are approached in the right way. One of the problems that we have had to endure as voters and as citizens is that our party has not believed that. Our party has not believed the Democrats can be beat, and Donald Trump has shown how to do it. It took a political outsider, somebody with no fingerprints on anything to do with the way Washington works, quote unquote, demonstrates how you beat an opposing political party. How many times I've shared this story with you? I've had Mitt Romney come to my studio. I've had Rand Paul come to my studio. I've had Republican presidential candidate after candidate come to this studio and talk to me about their campaign, their ideas, how they want to go about winning. And each one of them, I have not mentioned all the names. It's not important. They all believe it. They all told me, we can't win, Rush, with Republican votes alone. We can't win with Republican. And I look at what do you mean we can't win with Republican? We have got to be able to cross the aisle, and we have got to be able to engage in group politics. No. I said you guys are going about this the wrong way. All you need to do is approach the American people as citizens, as the American people. To hell with what group they're in. We're human beings. We all want the best for ourselves and for our country. Now, the opponents don't look at life that way. They do look at people as victims and members of groups. But we can beat them. I've always known we could beat them. And my point, folks, my purpose here, people have asked me, why are you still doing this? For 29 years. Beating the left has always been what this is about. In addition to whatever I must do in the realm of broadcasting in order to succeed. The substance and the content portion of this program has always been, whether it's been humor, whether it's been satire, whether it has been serious commentary, it has always been about beating the left. For 29 years, that's what this program has been about. And I have never understood, and I do not understand people on our side who do not believe that.